Alrighty, let's jump into bag G. This is Tekno MT48 2.0 build. This was bag F, and it's actually pretty enjoyable. Oh, you know, one thing we didn't put was droop screws. Can I put these in now? Yeah, let's do that. Let's put droop screws. They're pretty important. Maybe. On a monster truck? Not so much. We just want to keep the dog bones from pulling out when we wreck. When we get to the end, we'll set droop and all that good stuff to the box stock settings. Notice these droop screws are actually have hexes on both sides. They have a hex on the inside end, so you can adjust it from the other side of the car. Once the arms once the gearbox is on the body, or on the chassis rather, you really can't get to these screws from the bottom. You can only get to them from the top. So they have a hex, a 2mm hex on the top that lets you adjust these screws from above. And all these screws really do is push down on these ears on the chassis to keep the arms from coming down too far. So you set them somewhere like, you know, here. Though on this one, even a full droop without anything stopping them, these dog bones are not coming out, right? Like they're not going anywhere. I don't think there's anything to worry about there. All right, bag G. And what do we have? It's going to be steering, bell crank, steering links. Yeah. All right. So for step one, we'll build the servo saver. So that drives down into the plastic there, and that basically becomes like your holder for that. Then we'll put this piece on, and it looks like it actually faces this direction. Yep. And you'll see these sort of grooves drop in and out of the plastic on the top, and there's a spring that'll go on the back that kind of keeps the pressure against that. But the point is to let that be able to give some when you have impacts and things like that, to try to deflect those impacts from going all the way to the servo and damaging the servo. All that said, we still make these very tight. There's just a little bit of give, not very much. One note on these is you do want to put a little bit of Loctite somewhere on the threads where you kind of guess the where the nut's going to end up. I just kind of put it on a space and hope for the best. It doesn't really have to be a ton. You're really just trying to get it to stay in place. It'll kind of take care of itself. With these servo saver springs, one nice thing that you can do is take your wheel wrench and put the nut in your wheel wrench. It is a 17mm hex, and that'll let you have something to push against to drive this thing on, right? Because you're going to have to put some pressure to get the threads seated into the thing. And so you want to kind of hang on to it until you get it bit, and then you can turn it down the rest of the way. I'll tell you, on the race cars, typically we would tighten these all the way down as far as you can go, and then back them off just like maybe a half a turn, you know, a quarter of a turn. They have you tighten the nut all the way down, then back it off 2 full turns. I'm probably not going to follow that instruction. I'll just maybe do a half a turn. So that's all the way down tight. I'll just back it off. What do we say, a half a turn? Ish. Sure. And so that still is going to give some give in the servo eventually, and I'll loosen up. And that Loctite's already doing its work. Good stuff. Oh, that O-ring is supposed to go in there before we put that down, huh? Or in the groove of the nut above it. All right, so maybe back that off. And we can probably put it on without backing the nut all the way off. It looks like. Yeah. Yep. Well, a couple more turns. Right there. Follow instructions. That O-ring right in there, and then tighten her back down. All the way down. Now back it off a turn and a half. Get close to instructions, right? All right. Here we need the other half of the bell crank. Our Ackerman plate. These two button head screws. That cannot be, can it? And these small bearings, yeah? And these plastic spacers. So these will go in the, arms of the bell crank. And then these will become the nuts that our screws drive into. And they go in the back. And then these screws come up to the bottom of the plate and go into these, right? How does this actually? No, they must go the other direction. So this way down, and then Ackerman, wow, okay, this way. I guess that's 7mm. Yeah. Very interesting. This is kind of reverse to what I'm used to. On our buggies and truggies, the Ackerman plate sits on top of the bell crank arms. But that looks good too. Okay. Steering links. And then we'll pay attention to the ends this time and make sure everything goes in the right place. But it looks like these are all the same ends, so that won't be a concern. And the same on these. These all appear to be the same ends, so we're good to send these. Just drive these on the way, and then we'll measure them and back it off if we need to. And these should be 81 millimeters. Wow, nailed it. Okay. We'll put ends on these. Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, these used to be so much harder to start. These are nice. Fine, stay there. '81 on the nose. So just barely a thread showing, and that's the right length. Oh, ends, yes. Uh-oh. I tried to run away. You're going to go in here, and you're going to stay. No escaping. All right. Saying to use the front hole for the Ackerman plate. There's a stock position. How do they have us build these? Let's see. We go bearing in each end of these. And these might fall out while we're building here. I hope they won't, but we'll see. And we'll go does this face? No, these face backwards. Sort of a thing that points that away. These are different ends. Did I do this by accident correctly? Maybe? Both outside rod ends have a larger offset. I might have screwed up, huh? So we go outside, have a larger offset. Ooh, I get it right by accident. That doesn't happen. I'm not even mad. I should have paid closer attention. This one's wrong. Typical. right? Yeah, that one should go that way. Right? No, it's actually right. I did it right twice by accident. Genius. Beat that. This way. Oh, uh-oh. All right. Tighten these down. That gets us all that built. Look, that bearing almost came out. Yeah. You did it right by accident. Pay attention to those ends, guys. I got lucky. Pay attention to instructions. And this last screw is kind of a strange one. You want to put it in now, they say, because it's much harder to do it later. And I think that's probably true because it'll be on the chassis at that point. So let's just get it on there for now. Just need to turn a little bit, it seems. There. There you go. And so that kind of just presses in there, and then that is going to, there goes one of those bearings. And that'll hold that screw in place for the next. One sec.
5 hours later.
Okay, so I think that bearing might be lost to this world. I'll have to go and look for it. Maybe I'll look back at the video and see if I can hunt her down. But in the meantime, I pilfered one off of a parts car. Thanks Tekno for using the same parts on cars. That's one nice thing about all this is there's a bunch of these parts that are interchangeable with other cars. If you've got a Tekno, you probably have some parts you can use. So let's move along. So we're finished now with bag G. In that case, make sure you keep your bearings together. Like I said, when I started to put it together, it looked like, you know, I might lose a bearing, it might slip out of the end or something like that. And of course it did. And I lost the bearing, but I'll hunt it down one of these days. Yeah, so that's pretty well it for bag G. Keep an eye out for bag H coming up next. And like and subscribe. Catch you in the next one.